All right, let's start with some Crowder bits. This is the clip channel for Steven Crowder, which means that conveniently, we don't have to watch as much Steven Crowder to get the same amount of information as a general Steven Crowder video, which is not a whole lot, all things considered, but that's perfectly fine. But before we get into that, let's get into the fan art section. The first one we have here is from Bear Peach. They said, Waitress Slime Suris. Waitress Slime Suris. There's even one with the glasses as well. This is adorable. I love every single inch of this image. This image is great. And Bear Peach, you are great for making this image. Watermelon Astrid, thank you for redeeming your points for an ara. You fucking degen. So waitress at a drive-in, note the skates. Yep. The next one we have here is from BCK, finally getting a chance to do fan art. So I have a crumb of Catgirl in the World Ends With You style, because that game has retaken my life. I need to beat Twewy. I played the shit out of it on my DS when I was a kid, and then I hit a point where I stopped wanting to play, and I don't remember why. And the Switch version of the game is basically horse garbo. So, I really need to play through all of The World Ends With You at some point in a way that isn't borked. Would a slime need skates? Slime can have skates if they want. John Regard, thank you for redeeming your points for an owl. And the next one we have, the last one for today, is from Tomato Girl. Saw someone created Suris using Hero Forge, so I made Slime Girl Suris. It was the closest pink I could find, but it's still too bright. I might have to fix that later. Thank you very much, Tomato Girl, for your fan art submissions, and thank you, everybody, for your fan art drops. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that all said, if you haven't subscribed already or hit the bell notification icon, please consider doing so. And check out the Patreon if you want access to behind-the-scenes stuff, like early access versions of the videos that go up on Suris Video, as well as a blog, basically, cataloging everything happening in my real life on the back end. With that all said, let's go ahead and get right into today's topic. The actual name of the video is Libtard Parents Raise Gender Neutral Child. Let's see what Crowder thinks.
We're laughing at how absurd it is, but it's hate speech in certain places like the UK to speak out against it. They call this gender creative parenting. Well, that's a made-up name if I've ever heard one. Hold on, I haven't seen this, but I'm willing to bet it's some bullshit.
Yeah, all names are made up, Steven. That's how names work. Like, all things considered, every word, everything is made up. But anywho, stop. How could you betray me? Why would you do this to me? Why? Why? I haven't hurt you. I haven't done anything to you. Stop. I've done nothing to deserve this. But fine. You'll get what you want. You redeem 50,001 channel points. Fine. Oh, whoa. Wrong glasses. Both glasses. Back to the right glasses. I'm upset with you. Now I look like a chicken. Anywho, back to Crowder, as that's less painful than what you just forced on me.
Let's watch the clip.
When our child Zoomer was born in 2016, my partner Brent and I decided to raise them without assigning a gender.
Sorry.
We didn't disclose their reproductive anatomy to people who didn't need to know. We used the gender-neutral pronouns they, them, their until Zoomer could tell us what pronouns fit best.
Confusing
and we taught
that kid.
Zoomer about bodies, gender, identity, and expression in an expansive and inclusive way.
What's the problem so far? What's the issue? Like, I don't see the problem so far. Kid seems happy. The house doesn't seem abusive. I mean, Zoomer is, yeah, a bit of a terrible name, but like, I don't see the problem. Who cares what diddly bits are you know, in the pants of your kid? Like, that's between you and the doctors. After that, it doesn't really matter. So I guess we'll just see what particular issue Crowder has.
We wanted to hold space for the possibility that Zoomer could be intersex.
Yeah, you give him a little
transgender,
Prince
or
Valiant
non-binary.
haircut. That's setting.
All right, so first thing, wanted to hold space in case Zoomer was intersex. I feel like there's a lot of... Sorry for the coughs. I'm really sick. I feel like there's a lot of tests you can run to see whether somebody's intersex, you know, really early on in life. Non-binary and stuff like that makes a little more sense, since that's stuff that is more about identity. That's stuff that is more slid into as opposed to born with. But again, they're not imposing any cisnormative stuff. I don't see a problem with that. Like, who cares if Zoomer wears a dress? Who cares if Zoomer decides to wear big soldier boots? Who cares if Soldier plays with Transformers instead of Barbies? It doesn't matter. Like, in what way is this actually going to affect the parenting style in a negative way?
Him
We
up
were
for
committed
success.
to protecting them from experiencing sexism in early childhood.
How about being compared
Zoomer
to
wore
Little
all
Lord
the clothes,
Fauntleroy?
played with all the
Is this just making fun of a kid? Is that all this is?
toys, and got to experience a childhood free of gender stereotypes. Around Zoomer's 4th birthday, he told us that he's a boy and that he loves he/him pronouns. Zoomer knows
also
who he
loves
is,
boogers.
and
And who cares? Again, you have to ask yourself, what's the harm being done, right? You have to ask yourself, like, what harm is actually happening here? Because if you can't really identify any harm happening, then what's the actual problem? Because, I don't know, for me, it seems like the most important thing about parenting is harm reduction for the child and education, preparing them for the world around them with the least amount of abuse possible. This doesn't feel like it leads to any particular kind of abuse. This just kind of feels like it's a decent, loving environment for the kid, regardless of how the kid identifies. I don't see the problem.
understands that gender is not binary and that his body
He also
doesn't
loves
define
shitting his
destiny.
pants.
We call this gender creative parenting, and there's
Just let him.
resources
That's what
and
he
an
wants to
amazing
do.
community waiting for you if you want to learn more.
See, the key there is this. Can I say the woman in the video? I have no idea.
Who
Like,
knows?
dude,
You can assume, like, people will correct you afterwards if you need to be corrected. It's okay to just say what seems to be somebody's gender. That person or their peers can correct you. And at that point, you can go ahead and align yourself with the correct gender. This freaking out about, I don't want to assume their gender. I don't want to assume. It feels like it was always a made up freak out thing from right-wing people, because almost every trans person I know, if you misgender them once, they will literally just go, hey, actually, my gender is this, or hey, my pronouns are this. It takes them like a quarter of a second to correct you, and then y'all are on track from that point. It feels like it was a made-up hysteria a long time ago.
Z says we call this creative gender parenting. Okay, you can call it whatever. It's nothing. It's not real. It's not a thing.
But it's a thing that they did, though. It is a thing, Stephen. Demonstrably, it's a thing because it happened, and they have video evidence of it happening. You can argue that it's not a thing. It's not a thing that happened, but like when we have video evidence of it being a thing, then you can't really say that it's not a thing. It's clearly a thing.
This is the issue, but then it'll be a thing, and that'll become a part of the curriculum. We're laughing at how absurd it is, but it's hate speech in certain places like the UK to speak out against it. My home country in Canada, pastors jailed. Mike Ward jailed for an offensive joke. This is the issue.
Wait, jailed for an offensive joke? Did that really happen, or are you pulling that out of thin air? Let's see here. Hold
Canada,
on.
pastors jailed. Mike Ward jailed.
Mike Ward jailed. Okay, cool. So let's take a look here. Mike Ward jailed. Let's see here. Let's see what the actual story is here. Real quick. Mike Ward, comedian who mocked young disabled singer, wins free speech case. In a 5-4 split decision, the Supreme Court ruled that jokes told about the singer, who was a child at the time, did not amount to discrimination. It marks the end of a nearly decade-long legal battle over a settlement in a stand-up comedy special. In the case, which tested the limits of free speech in Canada, has received widespread attention. It began in 2010 when Mike Ward, a popular comedian from Quebec, known for his edgy comedy, started telling jokes about child singer Jeremy Gabriel. The stand-up act and at the center of the case dealt with issues of race and religion, as well as what Mr. Ward called the sacred cows of the province's celebrity industry. People who, in his view, were, for various reasons, too rich, too powerful, or seen as out of bounds for mockery. In the segment in question, Mr. Ward made jokes about Mr. Gabriel, who, as a boy, had become a minor celebrity province and was known in the press as Petite Jeremy. Mr. Gabriel has Treacher-Collins syndrome, a genetic disorder that can affect facial bone structure and, in his case, caused severe deafness. The jokes referenced mocked his disability and his appearance. The family filed a human rights complaint before the Quebec Human Rights Tribunal, a specialized court that handles cases related to discrimination or harassment under provincial rights charter. And the comedian lost. Mr. Ward appealed, and in 2019, a split decision. The court appeal mostly upheld the tribunal's ruling, as well as a $35,000 fine awarded in moral and punitive damages. He appealed to the Supreme Court again, said that it was a free speech issue, and saying at the time it shouldn't be up to a judge to decide what constitutes a joke on a stage. On Friday, Canada's highest court ruled that the comedy routine did not breach the province's rights charter. The ruling said that Mr. Gabriel was targeted not because of his disability, but because of his fame, and while some of the comments were nasty and disgraceful, they did not incite the audience to treat Mr. Gabriel as subhuman. So, this feels muddy. I feel really weird coming down on either side of this. I don't know if I could actually agree with the way that Steven Crowder is framing this. Because at the end of the day, it's not that he said a joke and then was immediately jailed. That doesn't seem to be what's being said here. There were fines and a legal case that happened over the course of several years, because a lot of these legal cases tend to operate that way. But see, Mr. Gabriel, now in his 20s, told media in Montreal during an emotional news conference that it had been an honor for him to have been part of this debate and have had my say. Any other information on this here? Quebec comedian Mike Ward facing new legal action for joke about disabled singer. He won a high-profile Supreme Court case in Canada, is once again being taken to court by his accusers. Mike Ward is being sued in separate actions for a total of $372,000 in connection with a joke he made between 2010 and 2013 about trying to drown a well-known singer with a disability who was a teenager at the time. That's the joke? Trying to drown him? That's different than just making fun of his disability. Like, there's ableism, and then there's joking about killing a person. What? What? All right, hold on. Mike Ward, drown. Drown singer. Let's see here. I guess we'll just go controversies. Between 2010 and 2013, he performed a comedy routine about Jeremy Gabriel, a young disabled singer with teacher Collins syndrome. Ward mocked his appearance, his illness, and his disabilities as a singer, and joked about trying to kill him by drowning him. Gabriel was repeatedly bullied at school and became suicidal. Wait, so he was still a kid at the time? So he joked about killing a kid. That's what happened. What? Why is that okay? What? Why is that one okay? Okay, can we get the actual... I want the actual thing he said. Let's go to YouTube. Okay, so Mike Ward, Jeremy Gabriel joke. Let's take a listen here.
Moi, Céline, elle m'impressionne pour une chose, à chanter pour le pape.
Do I have subtitles for this? No, I don't. No, I don't. I would like... So he explains the joke for several minutes. Okay, let's see here. All right. Yay, Gavin McGinnis.
Show.
Fucking...
Comedians who people
I don't know if you know. 6 months later, which is how it should be, right?
right, of course. That's
Larger
efficient.
penis and larger penis. Hey, not guilty.
Yeah,
I
you
like
might.
that.
What if you miss it?
I don't know if it
Go and would it be and not
Canada is so friendly, so there's probably like if a comedian is being charged, that means there's nothing else going on.
well, that is precisely the problem.
Brand the Fool,
the
thank you
Human
for
Rights
redeeming your points,
Commission
friend.
was. I mean, this happened to me as a
Dragon
kid.
Heart,
In
thank you for
third
the
grade, we
owl.
wanted to start a gang, and we called ourselves the Falcons, and we are going to go around the schoolyard stopping bullies. And we ran around the schoolyard, and there was no bullies. So we ended up just having to invent them and beat up random people. The CHRC is running around picking on random people because there's now the best case scenario
It cost me $100,000,
$1,000 in legal fees, $100,000.
and I still pay my legal fees.
Because my understanding with Canadian litigation is if you bring a false case, you have to pay the legal fees. But it seems like the CHRC has different rules.
Yeah, no, I still have to pay no matter what happens. So that's why I'm trying to milk this in America to get, $100,000 worth of free press.
Well, this might end up helping your career, which would be the ultimate thorn in their
That'd be the best fuck you to give the Human Rights Commission. If I could become a huge star in the States and just drown kids everywhere in my jokes. Like all my jokes would be about me drowning random kids.
It is amazing that...
None of them Canadian, because that's illegal.
Right.
I don't know if I agree with any of that shit. Looks pretty free for being jailed. Yep. Is there anything else? Like, I'm trying to find the actual joke. With subtitles if need be. I guess I need it with subtitles. Like, I know I'm fixated on this, but... Let's see. Yeah, I'm not finding it. I'm not finding the joke. I can't talk about killing children? How rude. Yeah, how rude. How rude. Let's see what the actual...
I would want to tell him about how I felt when I first heard the joke. The jokes, plural. About how I tried to end my life. How it felt as a 13 years old to just...
Oh, so he was 13 years old when the joke was made. Do you feel like maybe kids should be off I don't know, off limits when it comes to shit like this? Does anybody maybe feel that way? Like, just me personally, I feel like there's a difference between saying I'll drop kick a child or I'll drown a child versus saying I'll drown your child or I'll drown your child named this. Like, I feel like once you start naming the person, you can ruin their life, because if you're a comedian up on a stage and you make that joke there, all it takes is a bunch of the kids in that high school hearing that joke to repeat it and start talking about drowning this kid. Like, that doesn't sound right to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely off base right now. But I don't know. This just feels... It feels like kids are the last people that you should be doing. Like, that you should be doing any of this shit with. Kids are the last people that you should be targeting like that. It feels really scummy to do that. Now, should this be a legal thing? That's its own conversation. I don't know if I necessarily come on one side or the other, but I know that demonstrably making that joke about a 13-year-old who really does exist, that joke makes it to the schoolyard bullies. The schoolyard bullies feel emboldened. Now suddenly the kid's life is in danger, or at least their well-being is in danger. Like, there's a difference between a dead baby joke and then telling a mother, I'm going to kill your child. Like, these are different. And I hope most people can see the difference between these things. Maybe they can't. If they can't, then that's a weird state of affairs to me. But let's go back to Crowder. We know enough about this, at the very least, to know that Crowder can be wrong and still be framing the situation somewhat accurately.
For an offensive joke. This is the issue. Creative gender parenting is not a thing.
Yes, it is. They literally just talked about it.
Do you know how I know? Hospitals. You know, the places that you've short-staffed? They have to mark it down.
They mark down the sex, Crowder. That's not the same thing as gender. You would understand that if you'd listened to a lick of what anybody had ever told you about this, except you actually get paid to not understand these things. You operate better when you don't. Your constituents don't really care about the difference between sex and gender, so as a result, it's more beneficial to you financially to also not understand. That's my 2 cents, though.
You have to mark down the name Zoomer.
I know.
Sitting there going, you sure? All right, fine. Here's your stupid kid.
They leave it in the preemie ward, like, we're just going to leave it unlocked. It would be a shame if someone swapped him and gave him a better life.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Oh my God.
Kids right every
your
time.
Your kid needs parents, not a friend.
Yeah.
And you can be both of those things. As a parent, you can be your kid's friend and also be their parent. There's a line, certainly, between being their disciplinarian and being their confidant, but if you're a creative enough parent, you should be able to be both of those things without too much issue. At least I would think.
It's really what it
I
boils
want to eat
down
chocolate
to.
all night long.
Yeah, you know
Well,
what?
we got to let him do it.
Before we
No, you don't. There are friends who won't let you do that. Like, a good friend doesn't let you make shitty decisions. Not every time, anyway. You can do the same thing as a parent. Jesus Christ.
But comment if you're a parent.
Yeah.
I just, this is a good, we have twins, and obviously I know people say it get harder, all of this. I understand, but with twins, you have to get them on a schedule, and if one of them starts whining 20 minutes ahead, look, you're fine, you're not going to starve, we change your diaper, whine it out. And then eventually we're going to get to a point where, no, I want this. No, it doesn't matter if it is M&Ms for dinner or to cut off their penis. The answer is no.
And again, you can have that stance on parenting, and that's fine. And to a degree, I do believe that you're right here, Crowder. Your job as a parent, part of it is to make sure that your kid does not get every single thing that they want, because part of life is something where you need to actually learn that as you're going through life, you can't get everything you want instantaneously. You don't want your kid to grow up spoiled. But I feel like the very barest minimum basic knowledge about parenting is not a whole lot to grant Steven here.
Zoomer's going to be a bit of a prick when he grows up.
Oh, he's very angry at his parents.
I'm serious. Like, he's going to think the world revolves around him, and I get to experience everything, and it's about me getting to make every choice in life. And it's like, oh, you're just setting yourself up for hell as parents.
Zoomer's going to be like that. I don't know if it was the NPR podcast where the host would switch genders in the show.
What?
Like, no, now I'm a, oh, we'll bring this up for Mug Club. Someone in the control room.
Seriously?
Yeah, in the middle of the show was like, oh, no, now you're
way.
talking to Tammy. I'm a woman now. And they were like, okay, Tammy.
So you have split personalities. Okay.
No, that's just somebody who's gender fluid. I'm going to be honest, I've not met any gender fluid people where their gender changes mid-conversation. I have never experienced that, and yet I do know people who are gender fluid. So I don't know if you've really experienced that or if that's a thing that happened outside of a joking. I don't know. I don't know. But again, not an experience I've had with people who are gender fluid.
Okay. Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah. Okay.
Like so Zoomer was born a girl?
I guess.
No, I think a boy.
Oh, and then he figured out all.
How do you know that though? They said that information wasn't public. Where are you getting that information from?
On his own, that he's a boy.
I don't know if he was born a boy or a girl.
They
didn't disclose.
They didn't disclose.
It is man.
Boy, I'm going to buy my son a Kevlar vest.
As soon as my son is old enough, he's getting a beer in one hand and a Playboy in the other. I'm not raising.
You know, it's funny. It's funny. He says he's going to buy his son a Kevlar vest. You wouldn't have to do that if we did something, about gun control. You don't have to worry about that. I love how they basically just said that, like, it's a higher likelihood that a kid that is growing up in a house like that is being gender affirming, that is allowing them to exist as a neutral gender for a time. I like how they're basically saying that, yeah, that kid's going to be the school shooter. That kid's going to be the one to kill a bunch of other kids. Really? Really?
San Francisco grandkids. Okay.
Nope.
No Playboys.
Beer in one hand and a Playboy in the other. I'm not raising San Francisco grandkids. Okay.
Nope.
No Playboy.
And yeah, we're just gonna give the kid porn and alcohol early. That's good parenting, Crowder. Good on you, man. Good on you. Just 10 out of 10. Great shit, Steven Crowder. Great shit. Except not really. God, fucking damn it. I don't get it. How is there even anything to comment on there? Like, from the video itself. Parents are raising their kids gender neutral. The kid decides their gender. From that point on, it doesn't really matter. Like, this idea that the kid deciding their gender earlier on will somehow lead to the surgeries happening earlier, will somehow lead to doctor intervention happening earlier, will somehow lead to abuse. I don't know where all that narrative comes from. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Probably because it's made up bullshit from Steven Crowder, who likes to make up bullshit. Said, sounds like Texas with the beer to kids. Could be, Hell Foxy. Could be. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. That wasn't not a whole lot to sink our teeth into, but it's bits of Crowder. So we had a bit of Crowder, which is, a little bit like taking little bits of poison to inoculate yourself against stronger, heavier doses. Anyways, as always, everyone, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon if you haven't already, and insert any video tagline here.